Hello everyone, welcome on in. It is Betting Weekly WTA. It's the tennis betting podcast brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I'm looking ahead to this week's WTA action. I'm delighted to say joining me as per usual on a Sunday afternoon is our WTA handicapper, is Rory Jiwani. Good afternoon to you, Rory. How are you?
Afternoon, Nigel. Good to see you he's sounding a lot better than last week. But yeah,
it took me to about Tuesday or Wednesday, and then I was absolutely back. Got to the Premier League show, buzzing for that. Premier League was back, but I think it was not only the fact that I wasn't very well; it was massively this huge disappointment and the dread of international breaks. I just can't stand it. I think I like going to watch England play, but I mean, they're so boring.
they can be a bit dry, but we're getting that way in the WTA season. We're definitely crawling towards the end of the season. It's I mean, this week we've had a couple of pretty insane tournaments. A few weeks ago we had Sonny Cartala winning in Monastir, and that I think that's still the biggest shock of the year. But Suzanne Lammons taking the Osaka title runs it close. That was the 250 this week. I remember seeing her emerge a couple of years ago. Made a few lazy comparisons to Kiki Bertens because she's Dutch and she's good on clay. For her to win a tour event in reasonably quick conditions on hard court she dropped just one set in the process. Absolutely mind-blowing. She beat Kimberly Burrell, another quarter-final qualifier, I should say, in the final. As for Ningbo, the 500 this week, slow conditions and some surprising results. We didn't have odds for it last week because we hinted there might be some major pullouts, and there were. Qinwen Zheng pulled out, and Jasmine Paolini, the top seed, she pulled out before the tournament started because both had already qualified for the WTA finals. One thing about the WTA finals, which I didn't realise until not so long ago, and apologies for misleading anyone on this, Barbara Krejcikova is automatically in the field.
I didn't know. I forgot about that as well.
Yeah. So it was the top 7 plus Krejcikova, and Qinwen Zheng got the last spot. So Emma Navarro, despite being 8th, she won't be in Saudi for the WTA finals. But back to Ningbo, it played really slow at the start of the week, did speed up. Paula Badosa and Karolina Mukova, who we kind of picked out, both made the semis and both quit in their semi-finals. Badosa due to illness against Daria Kasatkina, and Mukova, another injury for her, this time a hip injury against Mira Andreeva. Hopefully they can both recover in the off-season, although I think they're both going to play in the Billie Jean King Cup in 4 weeks' time. Krejcikova, she had to withdraw through injury as well. And Kasatkina got it done today. She was $2 to beat Andreeva in the final, which looked a big price. Looked really big when she won the first set 6-love. Andreeva won the second, and the third was topsy-turvy. But Kasatkina in slow conditions is still a force, and I think she's back inside the top 10 now in the world, which, considering how poorly she's done in Grand Slams, it's a surprise to see her back in the top 10. But in slow conditions, she's quite a handful, and none of the really big names were there, and none of the really big hitters were there, so she had a chance.
Yeah, I bet her the week before, and she let me down. I thought that she had a little bit of incentive to make the tour finals. I thought she might be up for it, but never to be. I mean, you said about that, coming into this time of the year that motivation is, it feels like that for us doing this show. It's been a long season. You peaks at the start of the season, you're all excited, and as you come towards the end of the season, you're thinking, oh no, not that I'm not want to talk to you, Rory, obviously, but it's like you question the motivation of the players. It's a long year. You said about the withdrawals going into the tournament, but then you had withdrawals throughout the tournament as well. It really made it difficult, and not only both tournaments last week were just a wash of people, perhaps not trying so hard, perhaps people just going through the motions towards the end of the long year, and this is the sort of the problem we have as bettors. Come to this stage of the season, this week, next week, and then you've got the tour finals, and that's it. So it's really hard to try to, not only on the women's tour, but on the men's tour as well, to find players who are really going to be motivated for these tournaments.
It is. It's also hard to find the odds as well. Some of these events.
That's harder.
It's difficult. It's difficult. It's a difficult time of year. All the slams have gone. This week we've got the last 500 of the year. Yeah, it's tricky all round. I mean, and there's pressure on some players because obviously some will be defending points from last year at this time of the season. But yeah, it's difficult all round. Just a couple more weeks to go.
Yep, 2 more weeks to go, and then the season will be over, and then we'll be back in January. Christmas around the corner. Oh, it's even more scary to talk about
exactly.
that. There is 2 tournaments this week, as we already touched on. But again, at this time of the year, it's very, very hard to get odds, and the time's different we're on compared to the stateside. It's a little bit difficult to wait because they won't go up in time for the other tournaments. So we have 2 tournaments this week, but we're only going to concentrate on one tournament on this show, and it's the Torrey Pan Pacific Open, the last 500 of the year. There is a Guangzhou, is it Guangzhou Open? Is that how you pronounce it?
Guangzhou.
Almost right. Guangzhou is the 250 event, and there is no price on that. But if there is a bet that Rory likes, he'll put it on the social media pages. And when the draw comes out, Because We Win on Instagram and on Twitter. So for today's show, it's all about the WTA 500 in Japan. It is the Torrey Pan Pacific Open. It is a tournament that has been won by some big players in the past. 2023 it was won by Kudermetova. Samsonova won it in 2022, so you would suggest it's quite quick. Naomi Osaka delighted home fans with a win in 2019. Pliskova won it in 2018. And Wozniacki won it in 2017 and 2016. So it has been won by players who would be sort of seeded, good players. This time of the year, you might think that might be questionable that the big seeds and the big players were up for the challenge, but they seem to be so here. Home players have done particularly well. Osaka's won it, but if you look at the other draws, players have gone deep in the tournament. Don't know how many Japanese players there are in the draw, but they've done quite well in the tournament. But looking at the previous winners, and that's all I'm looking at here, Samsonova, Kudermetova, Osaka, Pliskova, from looking at that roll of honour, from the outside eye, you would expect it to be quick here.
Yeah, and that's how it played last year. Played very similar to Osaka last year. And so, we've just had Osaka service hold percentage of just over 67, reasonably quick. So we'd expect the same. Weather-wise, not particularly hot, mid-20s Celsius, mid-70s Fahrenheit for much of the week. Rain expected on Thursday, shouldn't be too much disruption. It is quite windy there at the moment, so, and for the next couple of days, so that could affect the servers. But as you say, it has gone to the bigger hitters and servers and good players. I mean, Kudermetova won it last year, beating Jessica Pegula in the final, but she's lost the plot in recent weeks and months. Qinwen Zheng made the final in 2022, losing to Lyudmila Samsonova. She's the top seed here. And as you say, sort of before the pandemic, Osaka won it. Pliskova won it the year before, beating Osaka in the final. Wozniacki actually won it 3 times. 3rd titles in 2017. She's definitely the outlier as far as previous winners go. It's one where the more powerful hitters tends to do better. We said it's the last 500 of the season. It's probably the weakest as well, given the time of year.
Well, to highlight the weakness of the draw, let's have a look at the draw itself. And as usually in a 500 event, the top 4 seeds get seeded through to the last, on this occasion, the last 16. And the players that have been seeded are Zheng. Qinwen Zheng is obviously the number 1 seed. She's at the top of the draw, number 1. Kalinskaya, number 2. Then we have Kazatkina, who just won the tournament. So really, she's used a lot of energy to win that tournament, number 3 seed. So it's going to be quite hard to see her continuing that run of form. And the number 2 seed is Beatrice Haddad-Maia, who's been pretty steady, but doesn't really win much. So it looks a tournament that the number 1 seed, Zheng, is the person to beat, and it looks as though there isn't really much in the way of challenges to her. And that is reflected with the odds with BetRivers. This is the odds we're currently with BetRivers. Head across to the BetRivers website and the app for all the latest odds here in Tokyo. But these are the current odds at time of filming. Zheng is the favourite at plus 130, so a very, very short price favourite. We only see prices like that when you're looking at Iga Swiatek in big tournaments or Sabalenka in big tournaments. That shows you to highlight this how weak this draw is. She probably will have the motivation. She probably wants to end the year with a win in front of her Asian fans, which she's got many of them. Kazatkina, the recent winner this week, today actually, she's $6. Beatrice Haddad-Maia, as I said, very consistent. She's $7. Probably a little bit too quick for her. Schneider, a long year for her, $7. Katie Bolter 16, Leila Fernandez 16, Magdalena Freck 20-1. She retired. She withdrew in the last tournament. We picked her as our pick, and she's back here. Clara Towson is 25-1. Wang 18, Bianca Dreska as well at 20. We have Clara Towson at 25-1. Cocciaretta 28-1. McCartney Kessler 28-1. And then we go into big prices 40-1. Bar the 28-1 shot there, Kessler. So Bet Rivers are saying Zheng is the person to beat. She's going to get all the handle you would have thought. She's going to be the biggest liability in the book. Is it a case of bye Asia, head to the Saudi and try to win the Tour Championships for the Olympic champion, or is she beatable at these prices? Because when it comes to motivation, she obviously is the one who has most motivation here in this draw.
I think she's very hard to oppose. I mean, this, and I'm going to say actually, bad work from the WTA website here, because they have the draw, they have the web page with the draw, and then you click on the principal draw, which is the one that we all use. It's far easier than having to scroll down. The downloadable draw hasn't been updated because there's been a couple of big pullouts, unfortunately. Kalinskaya was due to be seeded 4. She's pulled out with a hip injury.
Well, this is the problem for me because I've got the printable draw.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the printable version, so I have no idea what's happening. So this is all news to me. So you're on top of the ball. So I've got that completely wrong. Not for the first time this year. I've got it completely wrong. So Kalinskaya's out, is she?
She's out. Yeah.
Who takes her place?
Well, so Badosa was 5. She's out. So Deanna Schneider, who was the 6th seed, she gets moved into the top half of the draw. So she is now the seed with the bye into round 2 in the top half. And in the bottom half, just got to check my notes now. Actually, let me check the draw.
Well, Katie Bolter was supposed to play Paula Badosa, so that's easier for Katie Bolter. Kazatkina and Haddad Meyer is the 2 at the bottom half of the draw.
Yeah, so Kazatkina, will she turn up? She had a hard final today in Ningbo. She might not turn up, but she at the moment, she and Haddad Meyer have got the buys at the moment in the bottom half. But so yeah, WTA, they've not updated the printable draw, which means that half of us don't know what's going on. Which is
good job that half of this show knows what's going on, because the other half hasn't got a clue what's going on. So I'm glad that you know what's going on rather than me. So as we stand now, then let's have a look at the draw. So Zheng is the top seed. Then we have Schneider in that top half, replacing Kalinskaya. Kazatkina and Haddad Meyer are in the bottom half of the draw, and Paula Badosa has pulled out, which means Katie Bolter has an easier challenge in the first round and will play a qualifier in round number 2. So that's pretty much our understanding as it is now. Yep.
Yeah, that's how it goes. And looking at that top half, you'd have to actually say it's probably made Zheng's life slightly harder. Schneider would be a bit more of a threat, you'd say. I mean, if it goes according
tired, though, Rory Schneider's played
I agree.
So much.
I agree. She's had a long, hard season. And, if it goes to plan, if it goes to the seedings, you'll have Zheng against Leila Fernandez in the quarterfinal.
Leila Fernandez has a very tough first round match against Tomljanovic as well, who's coming back from a bit of a layoff and always capable of producing and quicker services as well. So that's a tough ask for her as well in round 1.
Yeah, Fernandez is better on quicker surfaces. And she actually won the first set against Zheng in Wuhan recently. But Zheng came back strongly. Second quarter, if they get there, Schneider against Magdalena Freck, who withdrew ahead of Osaka. Looking at what happened there, she'd have had a great chance, I think, if she'd have been fit. Kudermetova, the reigning champions, also in Q2. In Q3, Kazatkina, if she turns up, likely to play Jinyu Wang, the 10th seed who made the semis in Wuhan. I'm saying she's the 10th seed, but now she's kind of the 8th seed because we've lost 2 seeds. It's all a bit confusing. And then Q4, possibly Haddad Meyer against Katie Bolter. Now, they met this week in Ningbo. The Brazilian won a tight one. It was 7-6, 7-5. But in these quicker conditions, I'd give Bolter a chance if they were to meet again in the quarters. Bianca Andreescu's also in Q4, but she was well beaten by Greet Minen in Osaka. It's a really weak 500. It's really weak. Outside of the seeds, normally you've got a couple of dangerous unseeded players. And You've mentioned Tomljanovic. I've got her noted down here because she is capable in quick conditions, but I just can't see that many women capable of winning this. And Zheng plus 130. I can't see anyone beating her in the top half on current form. I don't think she's a world beater. I don't think she's up there with the Swiatek's and Sabalenkas of this world. She's pretty good on all surfaces. These quick conditions, she should get lots of cheap points on serve. And against this level of opposition, she should cruise through to the final. I think plus 130, I don't think is prohibitive. And I know that those are the sort of odds we look at someone like Swiatek on clay, or even Sabalenka recently. She was around plus 240, 250 for Wuhan and Beijing before that. But looking at the quality of opposition, Zheng at plus 130, I'm not one to take short prices particularly. I think that's fair enough. But in the bottom half, I do think Bolter has a chance here. I mean, since winning in San Diego, she's been a bit disappointing. She did retain her Nottingham title. And she did beat Haddad Maia in Miami, which were among the quickest conditions of the year. And Haddad Maia, again, I thought she had a chance in Ningbo, but she was very, very disappointing against Paula Badosa. She didn't bring up a single break point on the Spaniard serve. And perhaps she's another one just feeling the effects of a long season. Looking at the two, Bolter's double the price of Haddad Maia for this tournament. So I think she's worth an each-way play here. I think you go Qinwen Zheng in the top half. Kazatkina, if she turns up, I think these conditions are too quick for her. So I'd say, Qinwen Zheng, I've gone a 3 points win bet at plus 130. And Bolter, I'll have a 1 point each way at $16, which I think's, she's more than twice the price of Haddad Maia. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, Katie Bolter, looking at that draw, I mean, Schneider's moved to the top half, in the bottom from the bottom half to the top half. Kazatkina doubts whether she's going to be involved. Haddad Maia played a lot of tennis, not going to be her kind of conditions as well. So it's really you're ruling out a lot of the leading contenders, and you don't really get much left. So Katie Bolter might have an incentive to want to win a tournament or go deep in the tournament after a bad couple of months. So Katie Bolter is the each-way play from Rory at 16-1. Remember, Bet Rivers offer half the odds the first two each way. So if you're this player or Katie Bolter or any player you take each way reaches the final, you get 8-1 just for making the final. So it's half the odds of the winner market. So that's very interesting for American bettors. Only sports books across America that offer the each-way betting, and something that's really, really important, especially in heavy weighted draws like this. And Zheng is our tournament pick here at plus 130. I don't like betting plus 130 shots, Rory, and it's a long way to go, but I agree with you here because there's good money at stake here. She can pick up a nice paycheck. She always has to perform in front of her home fans, the Asian fans. This is her last opportunity this year to perform. She'll want to go into the Tour Championships she doesn't want to go in cold. She wants to be playing quite well. She can win this tournament. She can travel to Saudi, confident mood, have about 4 or 5 days rest up before the Tour Championship starts in the beginning of November. And I like her here as well. I think out of all the players, she's got all the motivation, and at plus 130, sometimes when we're looking for angles, we concentrate too much to try to find things when the obvious is staring us in the face here. And I think Zheng here at plus 130, she's got such a very easy draw till she gets to the quarterfinals, and then she can't not fail to get to the quarterfinals. If she gets to the quarterfinals, she's minus money. So I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I don't really see her being extended in her first few matches at all. She's got a qualifier, probably Uchijima, who will have home support, but she won't live with Zheng. The power that Zheng has. After that, possibly Leylah Fernandez, who did give her a bit of a scare in Wuhan, but it was one-way traffic after sort of midway through the second set. She's got in these quick conditions, her serve, I mean, I don't know what the stats are, but she's probably among one of the most prolific ace servers on the tour. If she gets that going, she'll be very, very hard to stop here. I just, and you look at the second quarter, I can't see anyone. Magdalena Frex had a really good season. Schneider's had a good season, but is tired. And Zheng, and even, in her, she obviously pulled out last week, so she should be fresh this week. She's had a really good Asian swing. She reached the final in Wuhan. She reached the semis the week before in Beijing. She's in very, very good form, and it's not something you can say about most of the players in this tournament.
No, so I agree. Zhang is the favourite. She's plus 130. She is Rory's picks. What is the unit stake we're having on her to win it?
I'm going to go 3 points on Zheng.
3 unit play on Zheng to win the Toray Tennis Championships in Tokyo this week. BetRivers will have prices on all the matches. All the outright markets will be available as well on the app, on the website. Remember, if you do place a bet on one of the first round matches, you'll be able to watch the match live and bet live with BetRivers. And secondly, there is another tournament, and I'm going to tell you, Rory, you're going to have to pronounce the tournament again because I've forgotten what it's called.
Guangzhou.
You've got the Guangzhou tournament in China as well. It's a 250 event, and there'll be prices available on that. We're waiting for them to come now, so we couldn't mention them on this show. But if there is any value, Rory will post it on our social page at Because We Win on Twitter and Instagram for you. So if there is any value there that we spot, you're not going to miss out. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel here, Betting Weekly Studios, for all the best content in the tennis and the soccer. That's them social pages at Because We Win on Instagram and Twitter for all those late information. And obviously download this podcast, Betting Weekly WTA. That's it for today. Rory, thank you very much for your time. Oh, before we go, just give you an update, some housekeeping. Minus 2.81 units on WTA show this year. So if Zheng wins, we're in profit. Game Bet Match, myself and Sean Calvert will have a podcast on there looking at 2 tournaments this week, 2 big tournaments in Vienna and Basel, which are available on the podcast providers as well. We're minus 6.86 on there, but the Football Premier League and Extra Time, almost 20 units up across both of those shows in the first 8 weeks of the Premier League season. So combined, we're all a team, we're winning. That's all that matters. So if you follow the content here, you'll be winning as well. Rory, thank you very much for your time as always.
Thank you, Nigel.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Head across to the BetRivers website. As I say, the prices will be updated throughout the day. We're recording this on Sunday evening. By this podcast or this show drops, the prices will be online and you'll be able to place your wagers as well. But for us, we're going to go for Zheng to win the final tournament in Asia and head across to Saudi in confident move, the Olympic champion, to see if she can win the Tour Championship. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching and take care.